Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our review of The Boys Season 3, Episode 4. Guess what? Big surprise. There is a lot of carnage in this episode. There is a lot of bloodshed. There are a number of big surprises.
Yeah, there's a lot of surprises, and we have some theories too on what is going on with Kimiko. Why has she seemingly lost her power to self-heal? We've got some ideas on that.
All right, before we go further, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. We have more reviews coming the rest of the season. We don't want you guys to miss any of that. Plus, our other shows that we're covering coming up here, including Only Murders in the Building, Better Call Saul will be coming back, and of course, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Also, follow us over on Instagram, Matt and Jess TV.
Okay, can I just start with saying this? In the last video, I went on some pout fest about Supersonic and how I didn't like this guy, he sucked, he was hiding something. As it turns out, he is just an actually nice person who I have been hating on for no reason, and it doesn't matter because he's dead now.
Yeah, this went really, really sideways for Supersonic. So we've had this theme going on so far where Starlight has been talking to Supersonic, was like, listen, don't join the Seven. Homelander's evil, things are bad. And he's like, you know what? No, I'm going to, because you need to have someone that's going to have your back. Then we learned that Queen Maeve has been secretly training. She's making sure that it's put out there that she's kind of she's not doing well. She's partying. She's, drinking, whatever. But she's actually been sober for months. She's been training. She's ready to take down Homelander. Starlight knows. She's like, all right, now I've got two allies. And she talks to Supersonic about it. Hey, listen, we're going to do this thing where we are going to take down Homelander. Okay, cool. I'm on board with you. And yeah, he is just a nice guy who's like, we're friends and I care about you. That whole scene where he's like, I've been in love with you forever. And she's like, oh no. He's like, I'm just kidding. I'm like, oh, thank goodness they didn't go in that direction.
Yeah, we don't need any love triangles on this show.
No.
Here's the real question now. Who's gonna sing his catchy boy band single now? Poor Supersonic. It's Homelander. The moment he's like, Starlight, come fly with me at the end of the episode, we all knew something bad was going on.
Okay, A-Train. Listen, it's really interesting what's going on between the Deep and A-Train because they both know that they're kind of holding on by a thread with their position in the Seven, and they're both being kicked around by Homelander, and they're both trying to find a way to curry favor with him so that they just don't end up getting kicked out. I mean, A-Train has not been able to run anymore. He knows that he's hanging by a thread. The Deep just had to eat Timothy to get back in. So both of them are very aware of where they are. So the moment that Supersonic told A-Train what's going on, he's like, sure, I'll keep your secret. I was like, oh no.
Okay, this A-Train, the Deep, I know you guys are watching, so we've got some advice to hand down to okay, maybe this is actually where it's going to happen. This is where I hope things are going to go here, is that these two eventually are going to realize the error of their just terrible ways here and realize that instead of having bro fights with each other, how about you look towards Starlight, who is actually one of the heads of the Seven at this point, and realize maybe Homelander is bad for our mental health. Maybe we shouldn't have somebody leading the Seven who makes us eat our friend. There's a lot of merit to taking out Homelander. I think these two are going to come to their senses eventually. Justice for Timothy, and we're going to see them work with Starlight. It's just they're really stubborn and set in their ridiculous ways.
I think it's a really good storyline that's going on because it's really relatable. And interestingly enough, with all the gore and everything that's going on in the show, there's a lot of stories that are really relatable on this. And being kicked around in your workplace and having a really crappy boss where it's like you have to do whatever they want to really be able to hold on to your job, that's not unheard of. I mean, obviously this is an extreme version of it, but I mean, A-Train is doing everything he can to try to repair his image, including that spoof of that Kendall Jenner Pepsi commercial. I just about died. I'm sure Kendall Jenner is somewhere just about dying, being like, can we please just move on from this mistake that I made?
Okay, so this is my real experience watching that commercial play out. I started to kind of see where it was going like halfway through, and then I was like, please tell me he's gonna hand one of the cops the drink. Come on, please do it. And of course the boys, this is like the least, out of all the crazy, shocking things the show has done, they're not gonna stray away from, throwing Kendall Jenner under the bus. That was just glorious.
It was interesting, though, that they decided to do that now. I mean, that is something that happened a really long time ago now. And this show is very current and they're really on top of things. So as that was playing out, I was like, this is a really old thing that happened for this show to be playing out. I was kind of surprised. I very much enjoyed it, but I enjoyed it, but I was surprised. It's a bit cold tea.
Yeah, I hope in general that this A-Train Deep storyline is actually going to a place where they start to rebel against their old boss, as you sort of put it, just because it's going to feel like spinning the show's wheels if they just continue to take this constant battering from Homelander about all these different things, and it's like nothing is going to change. I know I know the Deep is like getting it from all sides at the moment too. That makes it harder.
I think it's just going to be harder for everyone now because Stan Edgar, he's out. We had Victoria ended up turning on him. He really was like, listen, we got to get Homelander under some kind of control. He is really out of control right now. I need you to do a press conference and kind of just give him a little tap on the shoulder to be like, by the way, remember we're in charge. And she's like, okay, but it did not go anywhere where Stan wanted it to go.
I'm really curious as to what Victoria's sort of motives and endgame are with a lot of this. I mean, it makes sense to go and throw Giancarlo off somewhere else so that he can go be Gus Fring again for a while. I assumed he wasn't going to be in this entire season. But with that being said, is Victoria sort of thinking, like, if her endgame, which I kind of thought a little bit about in the past couple episodes, is just sort of like she wants to get a lot of the bad soup sort of off the street so that she has more political power and more actual power as a soup as well. If she's just thinking, okay, with Homelander in charge, he's going to show everybody his whole you-know-what. He's going to make such a fool out of himself and he's not going to be able to control it. Everybody's going to turn against him. Will that be easier to have him stopped? Maybe.
Yeah, it's a good theory. I mean, we saw that talk with Stan, too, where he was basically like, well, now you're at the top. So guess what? There's nobody to protect you. All of your secrets and bad behavior, it's all going to be on display. There's nobody for you to blame up at the top because you're the top. And it is possible that Victoria was thinking that way. I mean, obviously we saw this other motive, too, where she was kind of like, okay, I want to make sure that my kid is protected and I can't protect her forever against soups. I need to make her a soup, so I need to make a deal with Homelander. And I mean, Homelander's trying to be like, hey, you picked one of your own. Good for you. You made the right choice. We're in this together kind of thing. But I mean, we all know that that's not the way it's going to be. But man, that scene with her turning her daughter into soup was really heartbreaking.
It was rough, and, we understand her motive, but I think it doesn't make it any easier, really, at all. And I think this is, once again, relatable to a lot of people out there. How are you going to protect your kids against what is a very dangerous world? And that's what Victoria is trying to do, but she has to know how dangerous Homelander is and how whatever her plan is here, whatever her end game is, like, she is skating on such thin ice because the moment she does one thing that Homelander doesn't like, he's just going to try to take her out.
Yeah, and I mean, Homelander really is in charge of everyone. Huey is apparently on the board now as someone that he could kill if Starlight does not stay in line. Of course, he does not know that Huey has secretly taken the V.
Since we're on the boys, let's all just tip the cap here to Kimiko and just that awesome awesome action sequence that started with Poison, excellent song choice, and then went completely haywire from there.
10 out of 10. That was one of the absolute best, most sort of like fun, if you can say fun. I had fun. It was so well done. It was so good. She is so badass, but also it was really heartbreaking at the end. You know, we had she was basically this hired gun, and that's what Butcher is calling her. Is just like, yeah, you're just the gun. I'm just sending you out because this is what you are to me. And we saw his conversation with Mother's Milk where he basically was like, yeah, I'm the one that's going to keep everybody mad, and you're going to be the one that's going to hold everyone together from what I'm doing to ensure that they're mad, to ensure that they're going to go out and do what I need them to do. And that conversation with Kimiko where he was just like, yeah, you're the gun and you're going to do it. And she was like, oh my goodness, like that's all I am. And she ended up doing it. But that last scene where she went and took care of the guy and all the girls were there and they were scared and they were shooting at her and she can't communicate with them. And she's like, you know, trying to be like, no. Like, I'm here to help you. Like, I'm not here to hurt you. And that the frustration and just the sadness. Her story this season is so good.
She's probably my favorite character this season so far. It's just because I think that there's a lot going on here with their lost innocence. There's a lot going on here when it comes to her role with the boys. It is really sad where she is. And I kind of wonder if she's going to leave the boys at the end of this season, provided she's okay after what happens to her at the end here.
Yeah, we saw Frenchie and her having that conversation because Frenchie is also feeling that way, where we saw Nina's kind of treating him like a dog. Butcher's doing the same thing where he's like, you know, come here, boy, kind of thing. He's really over it. And I think he's having a lot of self-reflection as well of, do I really want to continue on here? And seeing that conversation between him and Kimiko, where they were just like, you know what, we are done with this. We will finish this particular mission because we love Mother's Milk and we're going to be here for him to make sure that he gets what he needs. But once that's done, we are out. And I don't know how that's going to get turned around.
It's always one of these things where you say that you're out, but even when you say that you're out, you're not fully out. It's like on Power with how many times Ghost kept saying he was going to get out of the life and he never really did. So I'm a little bit worried about that. Maybe at the end of the season they could figure it out. Maybe.
Okay, so let's talk about Kimiko losing her powers. That was a really shocking moment. We saw them storm this medical facility where Soldier Boy was. They ended up pulling him out of this container that he was in, and he ended up attacking Kimiko, where she's the only person that took the brunt of his power before he just walked out of there. And that's that. Where is Soldier Boy? We don't know, but we don't know what's been going on with him for the past 10 years. What are his powers now? What have they changed to? The fact that Kimiko lost her ability to heal and the only thing that like came into contact with her is Soldier Boy. I'm like, did he take her power, or is it something like he's able to nullify her power for a certain amount of time, which is going to be such a huge like weapon. If he's able to do something like that, then that just makes Soups regular people for, you know, a small amount of time that they can die.
This kind of makes me think that maybe we are going down this road where Soldier Boy is the weapon. Like we talked a little bit about this previously, where if he is able to just stop someone from using their powers for a short period of time, like that can be the thing that really takes out Homelander. Because Homelander is all about, you know, his power. Without his power, he's just a jerk. And then if he's just a jerk, he can be taken out that way. I hope they're not going down a road where all of a sudden Soldier Boy's got like 2,000 powers, because once again, I do not need him to be Sylar from Heroes. Nobody needs to be that overpowered. It's like a character in the fighting game that just beats everybody no matter who you choose. It's like nobody wants to play against that person.
No, I don't want to see him absorbing powers. I mean, we don't really know because we saw what we saw and there wasn't a lot there to it. I think it would be a lot more fascinating if it was a situation where he can nullify a power for a certain amount of time and make that the Soup just human.
And I think what makes that even more cool is that then all of a sudden it's like, okay, Soldier Boy can do this. All right, now how can we convince Soldier Boy to actually do this against Homelander? Because I kind of feel like from like the tiny glimpses we've seen of Soldier Boy, he's also kind of a jerk. I'm worried that he and Homelander are going to be bros, and then that's not going to be good for anybody.
It's hard to know. When we saw him in the past, he did seem like a bro jerk, but I mean, time has passed. We don't know everything that's happened to him over this time. We just know that he's grown a beard.
Maybe they will fight for control of Bro Mountain, and maybe it's like there can only be one, and this is like a Highlander sort of situation. But yeah. Okay, the one other thing I really loved about this episode was Homelander obnoxiously signing Huey's cast, where
oh my God.
This was hilarious, but this is also kind of relatable. I haven't broken an arm like that. I've broken a clavicle, but I've known people who have broken arms, and there's always like that one person who feels the need that they have to prove how special they are, and so they just like sign the cast in the most obnoxious way. It's like the friend who also takes like a full page of your yearbook and just like signs it so nobody else has room. It's just sort of like, who are you?
Who did that to you?
Nobody
did that to me.
I'm not naming names, but it happened a few times. I'm just saying, it's always that
is obnoxious.
It is a power move, and Homelander, he loves his power moves, and of course he knows Huey hates them, and that just makes this all the more hilarious.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, we have a lot more of the boys still to come. We're at the halfway point of the season
already. Man, I know that it's fun to watch them all when they all drop for that premiere, and they always drop 3, but like, it makes it that we're halfway through the season already. Like, it's so fast.
Well, it's going to slow down a little bit here from here on out, thankfully, but we will talk with you guys about all of it every week. Hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Instagram, MattaJessTV, and we'll see you here next time.